We got a show, guys. The Hispanic Chicano culture has a show. This fool is the new Hulu original series starring Chris Estrada, Frankie Quinones, and a few other people that I don't really know. To see that this was kind of came out of nowhere, I was really interested in seeing what the heck this was about. And I'm not gonna lie, from the moment I saw the trailer, and I was worried. Sometimes the Hispanic culture is, especially in American television, it's just, I don't know, man. I feel some type of way watching these things sometimes. Even such as movies like as Blood and Blood Out, which I love. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. You watch some of it now, it's just, man, the cheese is loaded sometimes. The cheese is heavy. And sometimes I feel like when this type of, I guess, this portrayal of our culture is being put on screen, it can come off as these people, these actors, really overly acting sometimes. And it comes off as just kind of being cringy sometimes. Here's the thing. I'm not saying overacting, but sometimes it's done in a way where man, I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my butt here, but nonetheless, I was worried because I just didn't want this to be a cheesy look at the culture that is a Hispanic culture. This year, or the last couple of years, there's been a show out called Atlanta that I feel represents very well the black culture, which is, again, it's another culture that I grew up very close to. I have a lot of friends. We had a very eclectic group of friends growing up, very mixed, mostly with Mexicans and blacks. And I related so much to that show, and I feel like it did a great job of representing that. We got our version of that, I feel. The first episode worried me a little bit here, because it was kind of coming off a little like, man, this is just, it almost felt like a parody of what our culture is. But then that second episode came out, or I watched the second episode, and for some reason it just clicked. Something clicked, and I started realizing, like, this isn't a parody. This is really how these guys talk. This is really the culture that we live in. I didn't grow up too much with a lot of, cholos. I have, I know a lot of people like that. Obviously, a lot of family. I grew up in Northern California, so you didn't see it as heavy as you do in Southern Cali. But there's definitely I did see it. But man, I still lived in a Hispanic household, a Mexican household. And so much of the show, man, you relate to it so heavy. This show did a great job of just making light of some of the stereotypes in our culture, but also handling it with class. It never felt like they were really making fun of our culture. It makes you realize that they did a great job of doing this. How silly growing up, trying to be these cholos and gangsters and thugs, how silly sometimes that was. And it really was silly. I'm me, almost 30 right now, and just looking back at, all the stupid things that I've seen people do, the type of fights that were started because of what one person was wearing and this and that. It just, man, it really does remind you that it was just silly. Yes, it's part of our culture, it's part of what we grew up in, and this show pokes fun at it. But again, it shows you that they're all human, and this show does a great job of depicting that, I think, in my opinion, of these guys are just regular dudes, regular, Latinos, just trying to make it in life, man. I'm kind of rambling now about what the show, but the show ultimately really is about this guy named Julio. Lives with his parents, almost 30 years old. Man, lives with this family that's very much in our culture, right? With Hispanic men or young boys, and I'm in the boat. You you see Mexican households stay together. They, for some reason, they work hard, and they try to stay together as much as they can. He works for a nonprofit organization called Hugs Not Thugs, where he tries to help pretty much former thugs, former gang members, and tries to pretty much reform them into becoming good citizens of the neighborhood or whatever, of the community. And his cousin, Luis, played by Frankie Quinones, gets out of jail, spent many years in prison, and he's now part of the organization. And Julio is pretty much his case manager in a sense. And we're just off on 10 episodes of just fun, at times silly things, but man, this is a really good show. I really, really enjoyed my time with this. Again, I think there's just moments in this show that had me laughing out loud. And it did remind me a little bit of Atlanta, of how, again, Atlanta, the culture, how silly it can be and how hilarious and hysterical it can be, but how real it is. That's real life sometimes. That's how real life is, and this is the same thing here. I feel like they just did such a good job of that. This is real life sometimes. Certain things that are happening, they're silly, they're dumb, but man, that's just life. That's just how it is, and I feel like they did such a great job of that. I thought Julio's ex-girlfriend in this show, named Maggie, she was someone I thought I was gonna be worried about. I thought, again, a Latina, we're gonna be heavy on the Chola accent is gonna be heavy on all that, but man, no, she came out just real. Again, just real. I don't know. I feel like I've met so many girls like her in my life, and she just played it perfectly. Yeah, man, I really enjoy this show. It's 10 episodes. It's on Hulu right now. I think you could really go through it pretty easily. They're about half an hour long each episode. I don't think you necessarily have to know the culture to enjoy these episodes. I think you can watch this and really enjoy it, have fun with it. But man, I recommend this show for sure. I think it's really good. I don't have much to say about it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. I don't know what else I can say about it, really. It's funny. Oh yeah, Fred Armisen kind of surprised me. He's one of the producers of this show, kind of one of the creators, along with Chris Estrada. So that's really cool of Fred Armisen to kind of lend a hand in this and creating this. I don't know if anyone who knows him from SNL, so I thought that was really cool to see him kind of have a hand in this. But yeah, I like the show, man. Again, the first episode was a little rocky with some of the tones, and I wasn't sure what they were trying to go for in the beginning, but then the second episode hit, and it had me going. It really did. There's some silly stuff in this. Yes, some of it is played up a little bit, but I can't really complain about this. I had a great time. I'm feeling like a solid, 8.7 out of 10. Nothing too crazy, nothing blowing me away, but it's a really good show. Really, really good show. 8.7 out of 10. Yeah. This fool. Check it out. If my opinion sucks, let me know. It's on Hulu. 10 episodes right now. Check it out.